Everyone, it was so cool to see everyone's hands and emojis up. I heard about Storyo. That's just incredible. I'm going to share my screen, so hopefully it all works, and then I'll get into it.
Better.
Know when you can see it? Yes. Okay. Okay. Hello again, everyone. It's so wonderful to be here. And I was thinking actually what to talk about today. And I thought I will share a pondering of mine that has been on my mind for a very long time. Hopefully it resonates with some of you. But it's the question around how do we measure our personal impact, and maybe we need to change the way we do that. So as Court mentioned, Stephen and I, my partner, co-founded Storyo 2.5 years ago. And it was all about celebrating stories of women and gender diverse people. And from all the work that I've been doing in different spaces, I just I guess we just wanted to see some more wonderful representation, ask friends the important and deep and vulnerable questions, and just, have, I guess, like selfish personal reasons, ask people questions that have been on our minds about how they feel about themselves, how they feel about their impact, how they, what is their relationship to success is like, and so forth. So we've interviewed so far around 120 women and gender diverse people around New Zealand, and it wasn't, some of them are in the room here, actually. I probably can count 4 or 5 people. It's everyone from social workers and teachers to sex workers to artists and local politicians and everyone in between. The idea was to, I guess, explore the vulnerable, the real stuff. And the work that I was, the values, I guess, that I wanted to put towards Storyo were very much personal values of mine. They were about equity, connection, and changing the narrative of success. And that's third part is something that I want to talk a little bit more about today. So the question for me has been, and the question that I wanted to ask people that we've been interviewing is, how do we know when a project, a social impact project, or a project we're doing, a project we're passionate, is a success? Whatever that means. How do we know if the team we have around us is a success, or diversity goal that we established? Because a lot of the story was about representation and how do we increase that diversity, belonging, inclusion, all of those really important feelings inside companies as well. What about the product? And the product, it can be a project, it can be a thing you're building, whatever that is. And I guess ultimately, the question was, how do I know, or how do we know when I am a success? And I think a lot of the times in the space of social impact or contribution, a lot of people, at least, I'll say for myself, I question a lot of the times, what does it mean for me to be a success? What does it mean to know that I'm succeeded, did well, contributed enough? And that's the question that I kept wanting to ask all the other people around me, because I never felt like I measure anyone else. When I look at all of you beautiful faces in the room or everyone who we interviewed, I never ever think that this person needs to become something or more, needs to do more than what they're doing now. Yet when it came to myself, I questioned a lot of how do I do more? How is this the best thing I can be doing? What does success look like? So I kind of thought about it, and I thought, in this area of social impact and whatever that means for everyone, we think about community and representation and belonging and connection and all these beautiful kind of feelings, and we want to be present in those spaces. Yet a lot of the times the structures like capitalism or consumerism or competition or growth really impact us. And what I was thinking about measurement, right? Even though my whole idea of Storyo, and it is, and with interviewing people and personal values were about that connection and about that inclusion and about that sense of belonging, I felt like the measurement and the success question was very much still of the capitalist mindset. I was kind of borrowing those capitalist ways to evaluate something and putting it on a very different framework. So even the idea of purpose or a goal recently I've been really trying to unlearn that like purpose and a goal is a very Western concept, that everything that is created has to have a purpose. I have to have a purpose and I have to keep going towards a purpose. And there's a measure to see if I'm achieved that purpose, and how actually in a lot of like indigenous wisdoms, just being and just existing is a delight of its own. And that's how it should be nurtured. So a lot of the work and questions I've been asking with Storyo of other people and of myself has been around that. So, I show this graph when I talk to companies a lot of times when we talk about this metrics and, likes, followers, whatever. It's really easy to measure numbers. And it's really easy to say, oh, I am a success when I have, 500 followers and 1,000 people that, listen to me daily on the podcast or something. Or I'm a success when, or my team or my project, my purpose-driven thing is a success when I've turned 5 companies from this to this. And it's all easy to measure. And what I have been really learning or unlearning is that maybe things like that is a success. Maybe a message from a friend who read stories that we shared about domestic violence workers and kind of saw and resonated with those stories. Maybe that is impact. Maybe it's, you might recognize our second speaker here, or third speaker, Juliana. Maybe it's having people around you and creating those little connections. And sorry, Juliana, I had to include that. Finding friends in random places and taking photos, interviewing my domestic violence counselor, meeting people's pets in their houses. Again, just a lot of you, I can see faces that are similar in this here, in this event, finding friends and their books and reading them. And I feel like all of those little things and all of this wonderful little snippets and nuggets are so hard to measure. Damn. And I keep thinking, and I keep trying to ask people around, like, hey, what do you feel like for yourselves? And people tell me all these wonderful things about their lives. And I'm like, you create art, or you just exist in the world, or you just, sing or do whatever, and you're wonderful and worthy. How do I capture that? And it's like old constant capitalist mindset of like, I have to capture it and put it on the graph and measure it. And even with the work that I've been doing for myself is really noticing that 120 people showed it to me that it's just being alive is amazing and wonderful and worthy. And there is nothing else that no one has to do. So I guess I just wanted to, maybe the reason why I wanted to have this talk is because it's something that I struggle with sometimes. One day to the next, it could be one day I feel like I'm a delight of this universe and all the wonder is streaming through me and just my existence is worthy. And the next day I'm scrolling through Instagram, looking at views of Storyo and thinking, did this story do well? And did it resonate enough if it produced some whatever? So yeah, I guess the question is, maybe the capitalist system fucking sucks and we need to abandon that. And I hope we can do that little by little through those little story moments, through those little screenshots of photos. And for the later, when the graphs are all too obvious, we can remind ourselves with screenshots of messages from friends and how much delight you brought to someone's life by just existing. Thank you so much. That's me.